Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something the world doesn't say enough. The hard path is the path to greatness. Everyone wants success. Everyone wants to win, but how many are willing to do what is hard? How many are ready to sacrifice comfort, sleep, weekends, and excuses? Very few. And that's exactly why so few people become unstoppable. If you want to be average, do what's easy. If you want to be unstoppable, do what scares you, but exhausts you. What forces you to become more? Look around. People want shortcuts, they want instant results, but the shortcut is the long cut in disguise. True success only comes when you fall, fail, bleed, cry, and still keep going. That's how you build muscle, not just in your body, but in your mind. The world will test you, life will throw challenges you didn't ask for, but here's the truth. The people who survive are not the smartest or strongest, they are the most determined. Stop asking for easy, ask for strength, ask for growth. Because if you train yourself to do what's hard, nothing can break you. You become adaptable. You become relentless. You become a force no one can stop. Remember, champions aren't born, they are built by doing what others refuse to do. So the next time you face a difficult choice, don't run from it, run towards it. Embrace the pain, love the process, and when it's all said and done, you'll be standing tall, not just successful, but unstoppable. Every individual has a zone of comfort, a space where routines feel familiar, expectations are predictable, and risks are minimal. It's the zone where everything is known and nothing feels threatening. But here's the truth that many ignore. Nothing extraordinary happens within that zone. Growth, the kind that transforms you, never occurs where you're most comfortable. Your comfort zone is like a warm blanket, safe, familiar, and soothing. But if you stay wrapped in it forever, you'll never discover your strength, your grit, or your capacity to rise above mediocrity. It's only when you step outside that blanket, when you expose yourself to challenges, pressure, and uncertainty, that you begin to stretch and evolve. Think of any major breakthrough in life. It never came from doing what was easy. It came from being pushed beyond what felt bearable. It came from late nights, from rejections, from trying something new that terrified you. Whether it's public speaking, starting a business, changing careers, or leaving a toxic relationship, every step forward demands a departure from the familiar. Most people fear discomfort because it brings anxiety, fear of failure, or fear of being judged. That fear creates a mental prison, locking people into routines that feel safe but lead nowhere. You wake up every day, do the same thing, see the same results, and wonder why life feels stagnant. It's not because you're not capable. It's because you're not growing. And you're not growing because you're not willing to be uncomfortable. Now understand this clearly. Discomfort is a signal of progress. That nervous feeling in your stomach before doing something new, that's the sign you're on the edge of your comfort zone. And that edge is where the magic begins. The more time you spend pushing those boundaries, the wider your comfort zone becomes. And with every new step, you gain skills, resilience, confidence, and power. Think of it like a muscle. If you lift the same weight every day, your muscles stop growing. They adapt. But when you increase the weight, when it becomes hard, when your muscles burn and shake, that's when new strength is built. The mind is no different. When you face new challenges, your mental muscles stretch, your capacity increases. You begin to think differently, act differently, and life differently. When you deliberately do things that are hard or uncomfortable, things like waking up early, facing your fears, having difficult conversations, or putting yourself in rooms where you don't feel like you belong, you begin to rewire your brain. You no longer see fear as something to avoid, but as something to lean into. You don't wait for confidence to appear. You create it by stepping into uncertainty again and again. Your comfort zone is designed to protect you, but if you stay inside it too long, it turns into a cage. And the worst part is that cage looks so normal that you won't even notice you're trapped. You'll call it stability, consistency, or playing it smart. But deep inside, you'll feel restless. That restlessness is your soul's way of saying, we were made for more. Growth demands friction. It demands that you trade temporary discomfort for long-term greatness. It demands that you choose purpose over ease. And every time you take that step into the unknown, whether it's starting something, ending something, or risking failure, you are declaring to the world that you are ready to evolve. Discomfort is not the enemy. It is the raw material of growth, strength, and ultimately discipline. Most people try to avoid discomfort at all costs. They want smooth routines, easy paths, and quick wins. But the truth is, those who seek ease rarely develop the resilience or structure it takes to accomplish anything truly meaningful. Discipline, the ability to stay focused, consistent, and committed, is not born in comfort. It is forged in the fire of discomfort. Every time you make a decision that goes against what you feel in the moment, but aligns with what you want long-term, you are practicing discipline. Waking up early when your body wants to stay in bed. Saying no to distractions when your mind craves a break. Staying on task when others are relaxing. These are not acts of willpower. They are acts of repetition through discomfort. And the more you face that discomfort head on, the stronger your self-control becomes. Discomfort is a signal that you're entering territory that matters. It shows up right before you're about to grow, right before you build something of value. Whether it's pushing your limits physically, emotionally, mentally, or financially, the tension you feel is not there to stop you, but to shape you. It's in the discomfort that habits are tested, intentions are purified, and grit is born. Think of an athlete. Every early morning workout, every repetition that burns, every second spent in fatigue, it all hurts, but through that pain, the athlete becomes sharper, faster, stronger. Not because they enjoy the pain, but because they understand it is necessary. The discomfort is not a punishment, it is a tool. The same rule applies to your mindset, your focus, your life. When you consistently choose actions that are uncomfortable but necessary, you are literally training yourself to stay committed even when the mood fades. Discipline isn't about being perfect or robotic. It's about learning to act based on principle, not feeling. Most days, you won't feel like showing up. You won't feel like doing the hard thing. You won't feel like resisting the easy way out. That's exactly why discomfort is so important. It teaches you to move anyway. It teaches you to execute even when the conditions aren't ideal. And the more you do that, the more you reprogram your brain to value long-term fulfillment over short-term relief. People who avoid discomfort often chase motivation. They wait to feel ready, to get inspired, to find the right moment. But motivation is temporary, it fades. What remains is habit. And habit is built through disciplined repetition, especially when it's uncomfortable. It's in the repetition of doing the hard thing that you become someone who no longer needs motivation to act. You act because that's who you've trained yourself to be. Discomfort also strips away excuses. It forces you to confront your limits, your fears, and your weaknesses. And in doing so, it makes you stronger. When you choose discomfort repeatedly, you start to embrace challenges instead of avoiding them. You realize that failure, rejection, and difficulty are not signs to stop, but signs you're on the right path. This shift in mindset is where true discipline begins to form, because now you're no longer dependent on external rewards. You've internalized the process. Every small act of discipline, whether it's resisting temptation or pushing through fatigue, contributes to a larger structure of self-mastery. It starts with one uncomfortable choice, then another and another. Over time, you become someone who no longer fears discomfort, but seeks it because you know that within every challenge lies the opportunity to grow sharper, stronger, and more unstoppable. Mastery is not a moment, it is a journey built through repetition, resistance, and relentless struggle. It is not something you stumble upon or achieve overnight. It is earned through the quiet, often invisible grind that most people are unwilling to endure. Behind every expert performance, every world-class skill, and every extraordinary achievement is a long trail of obstacles, failures, and difficult moments that were faced again and again without giving up. Struggle is not the price of mastery. It is the path. Consistency in struggle is what separates those who wish from those who achieve. Anyone can start. Anyone can be motivated on day one, but mastery demands that you show up on day 2 and day 3 and every day after, especially when it gets hard, especially when progress is slow, especially when no one is watching. The world celebrates results, but what builds them is the endless cycle of showing up, falling short, learning, and returning stronger. That cycle is fueled by struggle. Struggle isn't just part of the process, it is the process. Every skill you want to master, from communication to leadership, from art to entrepreneurship, comes with layers of difficulty. The beginning might feel exciting, but very soon resistance will show up. Confusion, boredom, fear of failure, and the temptation to quit will all test your commitment. That test is the gatekeeper to mastery. If you push through, you evolve. If you avoid it, you stay stuck in mediocrity. The most skilled people in any field didn't just practice. They practiced through setbacks. They failed publicly. They were criticized. They lost confidence. But they didn't stop. They came back, improved one small detail, endured another hard lesson, and kept moving forward. What made them exceptional was not talent, it was the ability to stay in the struggle without letting it defeat them. Mastery rewards the relentless, not just the gifted. This kind of consistency requires patience. You will not always see the results of your hard work right away. In fact, sometimes the more you struggle, the more invisible your progress feels. But progress is happening even when you can't see it. Like a seed growing underground, transformation often takes place in silence beneath the surface without applause or recognition. The ones who reach mastery are those who continue the struggle even when there's no reward in sight. Struggle also teaches precision. When something is hard, you can't fake your way through it. You have to refine your technique. You have to think deeper. You have to get honest with your weaknesses. Each time you repeat a task that challenges you, you become more focused, more intentional, more skilled. Mastery isn't about doing something many times. It's about doing it better each time. And that kind of improvement only happens when you stay with the struggle long enough to learn what it has to teach. Consistency in struggle builds mental toughness. It teaches you to be unshaken by setbacks and unmoved by comfort. It trains you to keep going even when nothing is going your way. It gives you the ability to withstand long periods of effort without reward, which is one of the rarest and most powerful traits in any high achiever. This toughness becomes a foundation. It becomes the reason why you finish what others abandon. In a world full of quick fixes and instant gratification, the willingness to struggle repeatedly is a rare advantage. Most people give up when things get hard. They jump from one thing to another, never staying long enough to get good at anything. But if you are willing to struggle consistently, if you're willing to repeat, revise, fail, and try again, you move into a category very few people ever reach. The majority of people start with excitement, energy, and enthusiasm. They set goals, make plans, and commit to dreams. But the moment the journey becomes uncomfortable, when the results are delayed, when the progress is slow, or when the pressure rises, they begin to retreat. They question their path. They doubt their ability, and then they quit. This is the pattern that repeats across industries, careers, relationships, and personal growth. Most people give up, not because they can't achieve something, but because they weren't ready for the struggle it would demand. This is exactly where your advantage lies. When others quit, you keep going. When they slow down, you push harder. When they step back, you lean in. The fact that most people won't persist through difficulty is not a limitation, it's an opportunity. It's what gives those with resilience a chance to rise above the rest. The obstacle that causes most to turn around becomes the moment that separates you from the pack. People often think success is about talent or intelligence. While those traits can help, but they don't guarantee anything. Plenty of talented people quit. Plenty of intelligent people stop trying. But persistence, the quiet, gritty decision to keep going when it's painful, is what forges champions. The ability to endure what others can't or won't is your greatest weapon. You don't need to be the fastest, the smartest, or the strongest. You just need to outlast the noise, outlast the doubt, and outlast the discomfort that scares others away. Pain is part of the process. Setbacks are part of the process. Long stretches with no visible progress are part of the process. And in those moments, most people start seeking exits. They chase distractions, blame circumstances, or jump to something new. But real growth, real mastery, and real success are reserved for the few who stay, the few who are not shaken by adversity, but strengthened by it. That consistency, that refusal to quit becomes the trait that separates good from great. Quitting often feels logical in the moment. It feels like the pain isn't worth it, like the effort isn't paying off. But those who continue despite that feeling are the ones who discover breakthroughs. They learn what others never will, simply because they stayed long enough to receive the lessons hidden behind the struggle. The process itself becomes a filter. It removes the casual. It removes the impatient. And what remains are those who refuse to surrender. Each time you choose not to quit, you reinforce your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who merely tries and start seeing yourself as someone who finishes. That self-image becomes powerful. It creates momentum, and while others are stuck starting over again and again, you're stacking small wins that compound into something unstoppable. Every hour you spend showing up while others are resting gives you an edge. Every day you stay disciplined while others are distracted builds distance. That distance turns into dominance, not overnight, but inevitably. The advantage also grows over time. Quitting becomes a habit just like perseverance does. The more you give up when it gets hard, the easier it becomes to repeat that pattern. But the more you push through when it's tough, the more natural it becomes to persevere. You begin to rewire your brain to value challenge instead of fearing it. Struggle becomes fuel. Resistance becomes proof that you are on the right track because you begin to understand something most people never do. If the road is hard, it probably leads somewhere worth going. What others see as a reason to give up, you learn to see as a signal to dig deeper. Where they stop, you start to grow. Their exit is your entrance. Their doubt is your edge. And the more they quit, the clearer your path becomes. Not because the road gets easier, but because you become the one who keeps walking while everyone else turns back. Success is often glamorized. People see the rewards, wealth, recognition, freedom, respect, but they rarely see what it truly costs. They see the finish line, not the miles of silent struggle that came before it. But those who have achieved anything remarkable understand a fundamental truth. Success doesn't come without sacrifice. To rise above the ordinary, you must be willing to give up things others are not. Comfort, convenience, and short-term pleasure are often the first to go. The path to success is not built on what you keep, it's built on what you're willing to leave behind. The most common misconception about success is that you can have it all at once. See, success without discomfort, achievement without effort, rewards without discipline. But every goal demands a trade-off. Want more time for your dreams? Sacrifice distractions. Want a healthier body? Sacrifice junk food, laziness, and late nights. Want financial independence? Sacrifice impulsive spending, short-term thinking, and the safety of a steady but limiting routine. Every level of success requires a level of sacrifice that feels uncomfortable, even painful. Sacrifice also means being misunderstood. It means saying no to social events, to trends, to things that don't align with your goals. It means working when others are relaxing, learning when others are scrolling, showing up when no one's watching. That kind of focus comes at a cost. You may lose sleep. You may lose friendships. You may feel isolated. But every moment you give up comfort for discipline, you are building a life most people will never touch because they weren't willing to pay the price. The bigger the dream, the greater the sacrifice. You cannot expect to live like everyone else and expect results that set you apart. Success requires alignment. Your habits must reflect your goals. If your goal is massive, your lifestyle must reflect massive commitment. That might mean waking up earlier than everyone else. It might mean grinding in silence for years before the world notices. It might mean turning away from instant gratification in favor of long-term gain. Sacrifice isn't just about giving something up. It's about exchanging something lesser for something greater. And this exchange is rarely easy. Sacrifice doesn't guarantee immediate returns, Sometimes you'll be working hard for months, even years, before you see a breakthrough. There will be times when it feels like you're giving everything and getting nothing. That's when most people walk away. But that's when the real shift begins. If you can endure the season of sacrifice with faith, with focus, and with discipline, the rewards will come, not just externally, but internally, because sacrifice also builds character. Sacrificing for success makes you stronger. It strengthens your will. It teaches you patience. It molds you into someone who doesn't flinch when life gets hard. It teaches you the difference between what is urgent and what is important. It helps you become the kind of person who follows through, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. And once you become that person, the success becomes a byproduct of who you've become. Sacrifice also tests your clarity. It forces you to ask, what do I really want? Because when the price starts to feel heavy, when time, energy, and effort are all on the line, only real goals survive. Shallow goals fade when sacrifice shows up, but true purpose is revealed and strengthened through it. That's why success that's earned feels different. It carries meaning, not just outcomes. It reflects every hour, every tear, every hard decision that built it from the ground up. Success isn't something you stumble into. It's something you bleed for. It's something you fight for, not once, but repeatedly. And each time you make a sacrifice, you're proving to yourself and to the world that your vision means more than your comfort, your goal means more than your excuses, and your dream means more than your distractions. In conclusion, success does not belong to those who do what is easy. It belongs to those who have the courage to do what is hard. The journey to becoming unstoppable starts the moment you choose discomfort over comfort, growth over excuses, and long-term purpose over short-term pleasure. Every great achievement in life is the result of pushing through fear, enduring pressure, and rising after failure. Most people give up when the path gets difficult. That's exactly why your decision to keep going becomes your greatest advantage when you do what is hard. Consistently, relentlessly. You don't just build skills, you build character. You develop discipline, resilience, and a mindset that refuses to back down. Each struggle shapes you, each sacrifice strengthens you, and each setback teaches you something new. Mastery doesn't come from shortcuts. It comes from consistent struggle, and every time you show up when it's tough, you separate yourself from the average. To become unstoppable, you must embrace the hard things, because it's in those moments when you feel like quitting but choose to continue that greatness is born. The pain you face today is the power you carry tomorrow. Choose the hard path, and nothing will be able to stop.